They did it. They really did it. They united the fandom because even fans of the Acolyte are like, yeah, this episode was insanely weak. And many people who used to like the Acolyte are calling it the worst episode. I don't think it is the worst. So I'll be nice. I think it's just plain bad. And it actually had a few decent scenes. And I think without those scenes, whoa, I would have given this a very low score, like 3 out of 10. But they did have some decent scenes. So it's back to the usual territory of 4 out of 10. So what is occurring? Well, now we're finally getting Soul's side of the story. Because if you weren't paying attention, the early episodes gave us a kind of skewed perspective of what happened with the witches, the Jedi, the twins, etc., etc. So now we get the Jedi point of view of what happened on Brenda. I know it's Brendock, but I'm going to call it Brenda. So Brenda and the mysteries of Brenda are finally explored, and they were fairly disappointing. I think we all knew that the twins were a little weird. Some people are saying they're replacing Anakin. They're not replacing Anakin. What happened is basically the witches got lucky. Why? Don't know. They created whatever they created, and the Jedi got curious. And shocker, Trinity, acting like Morpheus and Neo, said maybe it'd be wiser to be peaceful. But no, no, no. Soul does some pretty crazy things in this episode. Pretty contradictory things? I don't know, but they were really strange. It's just the Jedi acted consistently very strange to contrive the plot, to move it to, I don't know, just a lot of nonsense. That said, there was really, really decent action scene. Even saying who was in it would spoil it, but that was really well done. I think it made a lot of sense, especially when we look at the larger context. So that was interesting. And this is, yes, when you think about it, a kind of interesting little twist on how the Force is used, how the Force is understood, and so on and so forth. It doesn't really violate the canon, but it doesn't really help. But it's like, okay, that's a nice little bit of a twist. But we can't escape the obvious that really Chimere has been the only consistently interesting character. But the series is not about Chimere. It's about these other factions and forces, the witches. It's about them, and overall, they're not very interesting. Soul had a lot of promise, but after this episode, I think a lot of people were just be head scratching like, is this even a Jedi? It doesn't feel like Soul is a Jedi. It just feels like he might have been interesting as a rogue Jedi, but as a representative of the Jedi, even symbolically, it just doesn't quite add up. Not a very good episode, but there is a really decent action scene, and some parts of the dialogue here and there by some characters was actually finally interesting. So if you want to wade through, again, usual half hour of nonsense for about 3 or so minutes of great stuff, that is the Acolyte in a nutshell. So hopefully the finale will at least not be totally stupid because it has been a real challenge not to just turn this thing off and just move on. But I will see the final episode and endure the boy, the rough narrative presented in The Acolyte.